Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today is June 17th, and we're doing government and social stories to start your week.
And this one is it's a trend we've been seeing, and it's not surprising, but it is disappointing.
Major airlines have been secretly selling your flight data to the Department of Homeland Security, a report claims. And the airlines would rather that you didn't know that.
In fact, they put it in the contract.
Please don't tell anybody about this.
But somebody got some freedom of information and proved it. And they, let's see if we can find the quote. The reason was very vague. Basically just, we need to enforce the law. Oh, here we go.
Visibility on a subject's or person's interest domestic air travel ticketing information, as well as tickets acquired through travel agencies in the U.S. They also know the credit card that you used so that they can track other purchases on that credit card.
Now, here's an interesting part about this. ARC is a organization that all the airlines are a member of, all the big ones at least. It's like the Federal Reserve, right? The banks own it, but they pretend that it's not them. Oh, that's not us, that's ARC. ARC is the one selling the data, and ARC can only get the data through some legal means if you buy through a third party like Expedia. If you buy it directly from like Delta Airlines, they don't get it.
Huh.
Yeah. So I guess buy directly. Don't try to price shop.
I'm sure they do get it. They just haven't gotten the Freedom of Information Act to, figure out how to get it. You know what makes me feel better about that, though? My new mug, which says that I'm a glass half full kind of person that's full of despair.
We also have Cent-A-Cow merch for those of you who've been asking for that.
This is like the 0.1 Cent-A-Cow, so it's like, oh, we figured out how to make the cow have more meat. But there's another version of Cent-A-Cow coming where it's just a tangle of legs.
Also, that cow's spine would never support.
All that, it would kind of just be dragging on the ground. We're having to do a puzzle to continue, Chowder.
Reuters, and I'm getting it consistently wrong.
You're doing it too slow. Oh, there you go.
And here's some good news, because this has been a long time coming, and it's actually kind of just been, they've been trying, but not that hard. But there was an attempt to make it stop altogether.
The Reuters headline is Deere must face the Federal Trade Commission's antitrust lawsuit over repair costs, U.S. judge rules. I love this because finally, 10 years later, the judge used his brain, and Deere said, well, we have nothing to do with repair. We have an independent repair network. And then the court case systematically dismantled that line of reasoning to show what a tangled web of insanity that Deere has created to participate in that, certified Deere repair company web. And the judge looked at that and said, this is insanity. No one would ever want to, this is crazy. Farmers can't get their stuff repaired because the only people in the repair network are terrible.
Things are rotting in the field.
Yeah, and there's a mountain of, it's just like, even just if you just went with mainstream news articles, you would have hundreds to describe the things that they've done over the years, and it's only gotten worse. So they got some good evidence in that case. And over at the White House, the order of the day is certainly rip and replace. And they did some ripping.
The Axios headline is Trump has quietly thrown out Biden's cyber policies, although not all of them, but most of them.
A couple of these seem to make sense. Like federal vendors provide a software bill of materials. I mean, that seems, why wouldn't you want that? The only reason you would get rid of that is to your friends that give you $1 million, right? Encourage federal agencies to accept digital identity documents. I'm glad they got rid of that. Digital identity is a bad idea. AI cybersecurity research mandates. That one's interesting. Like, they probably would have wasted a lot of that money. I don't know. And software contractors formally attest they followed secure development practices is getting replaced with a NIST group. So the government is actually going to look at it a little bit more instead of having them say, trust us, bro.
I really wish they had a more coherent top-down approach for this, because some of the NIST stuff that they're doing seems like some of the actually good work that the CISA was doing. And in the past, the NIST people actually did really good work. That has waned somewhat in the last 10 years, in my opinion. But CISA, for the InfoSec professionals, CISA generally was doing a really good job. But, how do we structure this to try to keep it so that a lot of fires are lit under the butts of the people working on this in terms of productivity. Because we need this. We definitely need this. The industry's not doing this. We need people hardening things and looking at like state-sponsored actors attacking things, as we've seen with, Juniper and solar winds and that sort of thing. But at the same time, Juniper and solar winds and those sorts of things happened even though we had some of these in place, which in my opinion should never have been a thing. So I don't know.
And China, certainly not going to be the emphasis going forward, are they? But they did get some attention before everything happened yesterday. And the tariffs, there was some negotiation, there was some ground broken.
The AP headline is that Trump has said the U.S. gets rare earth minerals. This is magnets. We get the magnets from China, and tariffs on Chinese goods will total 55%, which still seems really terrible because like 6 months ago, the tariffs were like 0% to like 10%.
No, they always had the 25 from before, from his previous term.
Oh, okay.
So that's that plus the 10 plus something he's added this time. Unfortunately, as of the writing of this article, and I don't know if there's been an update. I mean, probably not because, again, he's focused on other things at this point. They hadn't actually agreed on anything. Neither party had signed it. They were this is just what the White House was telling the press.
We're hurting for magnets. Is there any magnets in Greenland? If there is, I don't think I would sleep well.
Well, they'll just, ravage our public lands for all that stuff.
And Trump might not be that interested in the, like software security and, the vendors and dealing with all that stuff that we just talked about in that other article. But the sexy stuff, he's press releasing that.
President Trump signs an executive order on drones, flying cars, and supersonics. And it's basically, are you a startup company? Do you have money? Do you want to work on these? Are you worried about those pesky federal regulations about any of these things? If so, don't. This is, I really do think we're super behind on the drone stuff. And I would love to see startup companies working on just like, here is a control software where we can launch 800 drones and control it from a single point, and they all do this magical thing. We need that kind of bad.
You want them to have that.
I want American companies to have that versus not having that, because it's going to be highly important for defense in the not too distant future.
That's the old if we don't, China will argument, which it is true, I think, in some way.
Maybe we could do. I mean, I genuinely think it's really innovative that there are Chinese companies that are doing it for light shows, because the light shows are cool and that's a way to pay for it. But then all those drones in the light shows with that level of coordination make an excellent defensive grid.
Now, I imagine that our president is very upset right now, livid, I would say, because he had a big event planned, and it has now been completely eclipsed by World War III.
By the time you guys see this, who knows what fresh hells will have emerged. But I heard it was supposed to be maybe canceled because of thunderstorms.
Oh, really?
That's what I had heard.
That's
I don't know.
Probably a lie, right? It was probably canceled because he needs it to have the attention.
It sounds like a thunderstorm, but it's actually mushroom clouds.
Now, this is actually the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, which happens to fall just by magical celestial coincidence on the same day as Mr. Trump's birthday.
Big Tech quietly sponsors Trump's big military parade party. So these are these are apparently events that are running on the route parallel to the parade route. So is it a sponsor for the parade, or is it a sponsor for events happening along the parade route?
This is the inauguration all over again.
Yeah. For $1 million.
Probably be a good time, though, if you're into that kind of thing. Probably be a lot of security you'll have to put up with.
Be in the hot streets, packed in with other people.
I mean, I'm not. This would be fun. I'm not going.
Yeah.
But people seem to like that kind of thing, and I assume that I'm different, so why not?
The hotness might be AI security startups.
Have your fun. And we have some little window into how we are using AI with our lawmakers and our security services. And also, the AP chose the worst picture of Tulsi Gabbard. This is a tricky thing that they do. They'll either get a bad picture or they'll doctor it a little bit if they don't like it.
Gabbard says the AI is speeding up intel work, including the release of the JFK assassination files. This doesn't even make any sense. Like, these files should have been prepped over the last 5 decades.
People should be looking at this, not just AI, which could hallucinate anything.
Well, the idea here isn't that they're going to summarize it. The idea here is that they can quickly go through it and look for anything that's like, oh, we need to redact this. But that means that you're submitting it to something. Now, hopefully this is a local AI. But even then, there's going to be a log somewhere. And are we properly
No.
No,
containing
not even
that?
a little.
She was excited about it. Like she didn't. This
Well, of
wasn't
course she was. She doesn't understand any of that.
like the people. There wasn't like a reporter was like, "What do you have to say?" But she was like, "No, let me tell you what we're doing with AI. It's cool."
It's going to be so disappointing when they redact all the stuff in there that it was like, no, he was definitely we allowed him to be.
Just did that.
I mean, just I don't know, just like he was really interested in releasing UFO files too. And it's like, oh, there's a popular conspiracy theory that must not happen.
But probably, don't worry, the AI will forget to redact something. So
He was interested in bucking the monetary system.
Yeah.
I think that's what caused his health problems. And we've just recently learned that Japan gave up on floppies, got rid of them completely, and it
Rip.
turns out we were doing the same thing.
The FAA is going to eliminate floppy disks used in air traffic control systems. Windows 95 is also being phased out.
those Windows 11 updates really aggressive.
So they point out that they need like rock solid, this system never goes down. Windows 95? Could there be a worse choice? So
Doesn't really inspire confidence for flying.
Yeah, for sure.
I've
They were also using paper.
I've definitely been stuck at the gate a time or two where the pilot's like, we're showing some problems. We're going to reboot the plane. Stand by.
And here's a crazy one because we have gotten some new information, and this is very detailed. It turns out that a lot, and this is going to hurt some of your feelings, I'm sorry. This might be like too much cognitive dissonance for some of you, but a lot of the UFO stuff was fake on purpose.
Pentagon disinformation that fueled America's UFO mythology. This is Area 51. There was a general that was tasked with leaking pictures at a bar, which they hung up and did a bunch of stuff. And it was like, oh, there's aliens. It wasn't aliens. It was research craft.
And the reason they were doing that is because they wanted to distract from what they were really doing, which was testing stealth fighters. But it didn't stop there. There's this long legacy, and apparently at some point it became an inside joke that when there was a new guy that started in a super top secret thing, somebody would pull him aside, make him sign a fake NDA, and say it was all real, but you can never tell anybody, or we will court-martial you and we'll probably put you to death. And most of them never said a word, which I guess I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that security clearance and you got that job.
But it was just a gag. There was actually a memo that this reporter uncovered from the department saying, listen, guys, we have to stop doing this.
We trained Bill wrong on purpose as
That
a
was
joke.
basically that. Yeah.
I'm not too surprised by that.
And you shouldn't be too surprised by this because it's happened before.
Feds reportedly sent a Predator drone to spy on LA protesters. Oh, they absolutely did. But the Predator drone, it doesn't stop there. Don't think that's like, oh, this is a unique tool in the arsenal. No, there's lots and lots and lots of sensors around those federal buildings that pick up all the little radios. Even your iPhone, when it's off, emits the Find My iPhone signal. All of those MAC addresses have been logged. It's very bad.
So there was some interesting sleuthing that they did to find this. It had no transponder name on the radio signals, but they noticed the hexagonal loiter pattern, which is endemic to the Predator drone. And later they were able to uncover some other stuff and get some pictures of it, I think.
Those people on flight radar, man.
They're an interesting crowd, but we need them.
We do.
We do. Yeah. It's just, this is, if you're going to do this, do it publicly. It's like, hey, there's some dissidents here. We're going to surveil and log all of this stuff. It's like, wait, aren't we using military technology against our own citizens? Hush.
Not just technology, also force. Coming soon.
Last two words that are incorrect. And the FCC is EchoStar is a company that had some bandwidth. They had some frequencies that they owned, and they're not doing well. And the sharks immediately began to circle. But you can't just eat other people's bandwidth, at least not without special permissions.
Our Technica's headline is the FCC threatens to revoke EchoStar Spectrum licenses, and that has drawn widespread backlash. They want to subsume the spectrum that EchoStar has and give it to other companies, like Starlink. We covered this, I think, when some of the spectrum here, I think it was the same story.
Yeah, it was the SpaceX.
But I mean, a long time ago when EchoStar acquired this with the AT&T thing, because then we pointed out this was deliberate to slow walk bandwidth rollout. Like if you create congestion and you create backbone congestion, you create data congestion, then you can charge more, which is the path to more profitability for all telecommunications companies. And so there's this sort of unspoken conspiracy that they will do that. So EchoStar has not used the spectrum that they own to give customer service, and that's what's driving this.
But a lot of the industry people have quotes in here. The people who would love to have that spectrum actually came out and they're like, now I don't think we want to set this precedent. This is arbitrary.
This will be used against me.
Yeah, exactly. They have the foresight that our government never seems to have. And I know you've missed him. We all have. But he's back. The door has revolved again.
Ex-FCC Chair Ajit Pai is now a wireless lobbyist and enemy of cable companies because he wants the spectrum. He's a CTIA lobbyist, and he wants to see the wireless companies replace the cable companies.
So if you're wondering how we get people like Ajit Pai in leadership, he started out as a Verizon lawyer, became the FCC chair, and now he's back full circle, lobbying for the wireless. And Brendan Carr was one of his boys when he was the leader at the FCC. So
the only consistent thing in his position is that it is designed to pry more money out of your wallet to provide less service. That is the only consistency in his messaging and position.
He needs to keep that receipt mug collection going strong.
I don't think it's specifically to provide less service. I think the effect he's looking for is to give himself more money.
To buy more mugs.
Obviously. He wants a mug from every major candy brand, I'm sure. And the ban on AI from the states. That seems a little bit crazy, right? I mean, the federal government is supposed to stay out of things that they're not explicitly told to do, but that's the opposite of what they did, and they didn't get it. There was some pushback, thankfully, but they made some adjustments.
Senate Republicans revised ban on state AI regulations in a bid to preserve controversial position. This AP headline is terrible, just terrible. So this is the 10-year moratorium. Like, this is at a federal level, states would no longer have the right to enact legislation to control AI initiatives in their state. And so now it's the same thing, but it's tied to broadband, the broadband funding. So if you want broadband funding, you have to not regulate AI. That's the compromise.
It's not a compromise. That's strong arming.
But honestly, that broadband funding rarely materializes into anything. I guess the states are still like pilfering it maybe, but it usually doesn't end up being a broadband for the people.
Yeah.
So you might as well just do your own and then you can regulate AI. And this is good news, and it is also hilarious what had to go so catastrophically wrong for somebody to pay attention.
U.S. Navy backs right to repair after a $13 billion carrier crew is left half-fed by contractor-locked ovens. So 6 of their 8 ovens, which is designed to feed 3,500 people, were down for maintenance, needed parts.
4 months.
And this is protected, like the contractors have to do the work. It's like, I don't know about you, but you can, like, an oven is not a complicated piece of machinery.
And you don't, it's like, oh, we'll just pull into port. No. The contractor has to fly to the aircraft carrier, do the diagnostics, and then the repair team is a different team. So you got flights in and out, at least 2 or 4, I guess. But that's not the really crazy one, wasn't the ovens. That's the one that people were most upset about. The elevators. Because these guns, they got like 15 millimeter cannons, you can't just carry those shells.
Yeah.
They have elevators that take them up to the deck. They don't work. And they can't repair them because they have contracts saying that they must not repair them.
It seems like that's not very combat ready.
So this guy has actually gotten the change that there is now a policy, at least on aircraft carriers, that you will not buy anything that has a repair contract.
As it should be. Because that's like the dumbest thing ever.
And it ain't like those companies are going to say no to that. Who else are you going to sell ammo elevators to? Who else is using them?
There's a funny story. Had a Samsung washer and dryer, and like the Samsung parts were as much as a new washer and dryer, but there was a Chinese like clone parts and like a Chinese repair kit, and the circuit board that I got in to fix the washer was way less complicated than the Samsung one, and it was like, oh, by the way, in this other part of the machine, do this, and it will also make things better. And the machine has never broken down again, and it's insanely old now, and it's like amazing. It's literally rusting out, and it's still working.
And another little bit of good news, if you like transparency in your government.
New York State lawmakers vote to stop New York Police Department's attempt to block radio communications from public. Yeah, it turns out the public would really like to have logs of the people that are doing various things under the color of law enforcement, and also like radio logging, because it's weird. Stuff comes up and it's like, this is what happened. And it's like, well, the radio logs say that that's not actually what happened. Here's a recording.
My uncle's police scanner.
But if we move to Europe, the good news is this has been the end game for a long time, and now they're just coming right out and telling you about it.
Downing Street is exploring plan for digital ID cards. So this would run on your smartphone, which is great. It's fantastic.
What if you don't have a smartphone?
What if you don't want the thing that's on? Just no.
And it's going to have all your government records all tied together like Palantir is doing. And yeah, they're not going to be able to protect it. It's going to leak.
Not only they're not going to be able to protect it, it's going to leak. They're going to be able to pull up your record and be like, I see here that you attended a demonstration to, I don't know, stop murdering children somewhere. I don't know if we can give you a house loan.
Now, I just can't imagine that you work in the legal industry and you don't see the same headlines that we see. But people don't care. It's too easy, and they're going to keep doing it, but maybe not anymore because this judge has set a precedent.
UK judge warns of risk to justice after lawyers cited fake AI-generated cases in court. Basically, the lawyers, it's like, you're not doing your job. This thing is telling you what you want to hear. These are not real.
And he says if it keeps happening, there could be some prosecutions. Certainly some disbarments. He reported these guys to their, whatever legal structure they have over there, their oversight committees, but he didn't go any farther. But he said next time, he wasn't going to tolerate it.
It does seem like gross negligence, doesn't it?
Insanely so. I mean, what was it, like 8 or 9 fake cases that they didn't even bother to look up?
If you can't trust your lawyer to read the fine print, who can you trust?
Oh, that was his excuse. That's one of the craziest parts. He claims the client put that together.
What the hell is he paying you for?
Put your name on it.
And yeah, and you put your name on it and submitted it? Okay. So you're a moron, is what you're telling me.
And Britain, like every other country in the world, is learning that they have a big problem, and they're finally doing something about it.
Britain prepares to go all in on nuclear power after years of dither. Yeah, if they hadn't dithered on nuclear, they could be selling energy to the rest of Europe, and they would probably be in a great spot economically.
So they are, green lighting everything. All these new designs and everything, they're saying, yeah, just do it. Just go crazy. And this is a fun one, and oh boy, is Apple going to be upset about this. But now this is lawyering right here.
Yeah.
This is some 4-star, 5-star lawyering.
A simple comment is going to cost Apple billions in Europe. So this is the Apple case that we've covered a lot to do with commissions. Apple is saying they have the right to charge developers a commission even if they take payments somewhere else. And the European Union is saying, no, you don't.
And it's all about enumeration. So in the statement, there are comma-separated things, and the one about external payments, you can sort of go one way or the other, but the courts have said no, that we're going to interpret it as that's included in your list of things.
That's the correct interpretation if you see a phone as a generic computation device. This is torturous interference with economic transitions or transactions. It's like, I as an individual would like to transact with software company X. Just because I'm running it on an iPhone doesn't mean that Apple gets to have their hand out in that transaction. That's not how capitalism works.
And unfortunately, that is where it ends in terms of the UK government doing things correctly when it comes to phones, because they are really going hard on this whole, we have to spy on everything, you have to let us.
Mandatory backdoors.
It's creating some strange bedfellows.
Snoopers Charter. Why did we lose the name Snoopers Charter, BBC? BBC's headline is, WhatsApp tells BBC it backs Apple in legal row over UK user data. A better headline would have been, WhatsApp agrees with Apple that the Snoopers Charter is bad and compromises user security, and you literally cannot secure a backdoor. See also all of the stuff that with the mobile phone networks and all of the other stuff that's compromised, Telegram. I mean, come on.
And all these online safety rules, they can, it's like a certain number of users, they can do whatever they want to you. And some websites that you might not think about in terms of the social media that you normally would worry about are falling afoul of this, and they seem to be just ignoring it.
4chan and the whole website have been investigated by Ofcom over online safety, as in there is none.
Yeah, has there ever been a reality where 4chan was the safe option online? I don't think so.
But they won't say what exactly they're investigating. Just that they don't like it.
Gestures broadly, 4chan.
That definitely doesn't seem that would be ripe for abuse when you can't enumerate like what you're doing.
And the argument about our poor children and what's happening to their little brains. And I mean, we're just now getting to the smartphone part. They're not saying anything about AI. That's going to be even crazier.
Government considers social media time limits for children, basically under 15s. This headline is a little misleading. If the European Union doesn't do anything, the UK is because France is going to clone it or whatever.
They're going to do their own thing.
Yeah. Macron says France will ban under 15s if the EU doesn't take action. So the EU's weighing as well.
But what they're proposing is as little as 2 hours per night and nothing after 10 p.m. And Denmark, it was Denmark last week, right? Kicking Microsoft out. I think it was Denmark, which is great because they're saying, hey, we see how Microsoft is behaving. We run all our data through them. It's so arbitrary. We don't trust that anymore. And now Germany.
We're done with Teams, quote unquote. German state hits uninstall on Microsoft. Not just Teams, but also Office and a bunch of other things. They're going with LibreOffice and OpenExchange. I think there are actually better alternatives to OpenExchange for an online exchange replacement. What's really going to be interesting is what they come up with for a federated team-like communication service that's not Discord.
However, Germany has done this in the past.
Yeah.
And it did not last. As soon as a new administration came in, Microsoft, I think, cozied up to them and they
wormed
immediately
their way back in.
Yeah, so you got to worry that this is not permanent.
How annoying is that if you're a German office worker and it's just every other administration you're having to learn new software?
And AI has changed education. We're never going back. Sorry, I don't know what it's going to look like, but it ain't going to look like what it does now. But China has they're not ready for that yet, so they're taking some steps.
China shuts down AI tools during nationwide college exams. Basically, if you were trying to use these apps to cheat somehow, they wouldn't work.
Well, they didn't work it for anybody during that window, which is like 2 or 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
For their big exams. And Apple is really losing in Europe. Really losing. I mean, not just the stuff we're talking about here, but, there's a lot of stuff that they don't like. And they are really, really, really wanting other countries to not follow suit.
Apple warns Australia against joining the EU and mandating iPhone app sideloading. So that's the 1-2 punch in Europe is Apple's losing control of the platform. People should be able to load arbitrary software on their portable computer phones. And also, Apple should not interfere with commerce transactions involving the platform. And so in Australia, it is the App Store part of it. It's like, hey, people should be able to sideload, which kind of opens the door for the commerce part as well. I mean, Apple is still going to charge if you're in the App Store, but if you don't have to be in the App Store, then what say does Apple reasonably have for that?
And every country is a little bit suspicious of big tech, and maybe for good reason, especially if you are in a country where the countries that the big tech is in is your enemy.
Russia's State Duma passes a bill to create a state messaging app as it considers blocking WhatsApp. It's like, it's Russia wants a lot of homegrown apps, and this is just the latest. They've been marching toward this. We've covered a lot of stories where they've been marching toward this, and so this is not a surprise and nothing new. It does seem like there's not really the will to have local Russian companies build this. Not a lot of people are interested in building that.
And if you are not a regular viewer, maybe you don't know that there's maybe 7-8 layers of filters going on in this little brain of mine. And I struggle with it, but we are not allowed to say a lot. Maybe that's changing. I don't trust it.
I don't trust it either.
The Ars Technica headline is YouTube will protect free expression by pulling back on content moderation. We called this the somewhat Juvenile is probably not the right word. How would you like links with friends? It's sort
Links
of,
with friends.
It's so euphemistic
L1 show.
that it's like the artificial lemon flavor where you taste it and it's like you recognize it as lemon, but then you get all those little after flavor tones, and you realize that is just a bunch of chemicals creating a lemon-like simulation.
For those of us who didn't know, the show used to be L1 News, but every time we titled that, it would get flagged in YouTube and not promoted anywhere.
Because only mainstream media can use that word.
Yeah. So that's just one example of one of the many things we've had to censor ourselves for over the years.
Now, you might be thinking, what are the new rules? Well, nobody knows. They haven't actually laid out what the guidelines are. I don't think they ever have. But they have claimed that they told their content reviewers to take a step back.
One of the examples was like, we won't go as hard on QAnon, and it's like, there's probably a couple of pegs in the spectrum before that.
Yeah.
But we do hear this just as last week they shut down a video about how to host your own media.
Yes.
For no good reason. So, was that the last one before the cutoff?
They did reinstate that after a lot of backlash.
Oh, but there's no way the algorithm is showing it to anybody. Yeah. I mean, they don't have to. Blocking it is the last step, and maybe not even the most effective. So, we'll see. And TikTok. You remember when everybody was worried about TikTok going away? Well, it's never going away.
The TikTok's third ban or third snooze button proves that it was always BS. So,
which you're not allowed to say.
Yeah.
Let's just call back to the earlier article there.
They can't actually read the full title.
Let me drink from my. It's a glass. Stored at level1text.com.
So yeah, Trump likes TikTok now. Now he did initiate, if you recall, he initiated the original ban, but now he likes it because it was a big part of his second election, and he feels like it. He says that it's his way of talking to the youth, even though he has his own social media network.
It's a little confusing.
But if you love TikTok, you can keep brain rotting. Don't worry. And Meta, I think their most controversial and blatantly obvious things that they've done over the years had to do with the ad platform.
Yeah.
Because you remember they had the extremely racist ads. They had the ads that had to do with women's reproduction that was illegal. And now we got this.
Meta's platforms have showed hundreds of nudify deepfake ads, CBS News investigation finds. That headline is terrible. It is ads for apps that nudify. That's how it should have been written. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, it's popular. People click on it. They just didn't care. They didn't moderate their...
Nudify makes it sound like it's supposed to be like artistic or that it's not incredibly violating. It's stripping people.
And they use... The reason they're blurring these out is because they use celebrity women's faces in the ads, which you're not allowed to do anyway. Like, even if this wasn't an ad for something horrific, you can't just do that. You have to pay them for their image. So, Meta has no control over the ad. They don't care. You got money, whatever. They've proven malware, huge malware campaigns, and people would report it, and they would just never do anything about it until there was a news story. So expect a change here. Wow, they're actually playing one of the ads, and it's pretty blatant.
Yeah. They're not subtle.
And Bluesky is not doing that well, and I think what's happening here is people miss the drama. They love it. These people are saying, hey, it's not fair that they're over there having fun without us.
The Bluesky bubble hurts liberals and their causes.
This is an opinion piece by someone on the right wing. Just for
No, it's WAPO.
It says opinion at the top.
But it's Washington Post. They don't print right-wing opinions.
Apparently they do.
No, this is... Did you read it? This is they're talking from the left. So they're saying this is the problem we have with Bluesky.
I thought it was just a general complaint that there wasn't enough people on Bluesky, which is maybe like maybe you should rethink your, maybe Bluesky is just terrible.
Megan McArdle? I don't know. Maybe let's see if we get a bio on Megan McArdle. Megan McArdle is a Washington Post columnist, the author of The Upside Down, Why Falling Well is the Key to Success.
Failing well.
She doesn't look like a right winger. Those look like some problem glasses. Either way, Blue Sky does not have the excitement and drama. She believes that that's why it's fit.
I think the excitement and drama is why we've become somewhat dysfunctional. It's like, oh,
Somewhat.
I'm feeling way dysfunctional.
And I'm not even on social media.
it's like we have these things that we need to address. Like, let's just deal with them head on.
Also, I don't know about Blue Sky, like, 'cause I don't see posts from it as often. Does Blue Sky, does it hide everything if you're not logged in?
No.
So Twitter does, because I got logged out of Twitter and I have not logged back into it, and like you can't see crap on there
I had
anymore.
that same issue. Somebody sent me a link, and I was like,
I can't see it.
just
yeah.
can't see it anymore. Yeah, Facebook's the same way. Probably for the best, but sometimes the links are fun.
They assume that I guess they have that captive audience. They're like, oh, everybody already has an account. That seems like that's right for the pickings.
That's one of the things that Pinterest subsumed. It's like, I would like to see, like workshop interior design ideas. Like, show me your cool workshop. And like all the blogs and stuff that has like, check out my cool workbench that I set up, or here's what I did for my workshop. Now all of that is
Pinterest
on
images.
Yeah, but you can't, and you have to log in, and it's the Zuckerverse, and I don't really want to deal with that.
There's also like just trying to find images of something where you want to like learn about it or like see different angles. And like you go to try to find the blog post it's originally from, and it's just gone.
Yeah, but now you just have AI create an image of it.
And then there's no real
Why is my
understanding of the
oscilloscope
feasibility.
have zero inputs? Thanks, AI.
Anyway, join us for the next one.
We got more business and hardware news and fun stuff tomorrow, so that's going to be exciting.